Hi, hello, how are you doing? Hi, welcome to Lawyers Infohub. It's a pleasure to have you on this space. I'm Mercy, your host. So today we're looking at libel, understanding libel. Yeah, so what is libel? So, in this era of social media where everybody can come out to say anything, many people do not understand the effects of their words, their actions, their write-ups. So when someone makes a publication that is injurious, that is false and targeted at ridiculing another person to disparage the reputation of another person, the intention is to just injure the person against whom that libelous publication is targeted at. Then you can say the person is guilty of libel. So libel constitutes publication that is false, aimed at disparaging, presenting someone to be false, presenting someone to be dubious, presenting someone to be of a maybe a very, criminal minded, or someone that is linked to something not good that brings the esteem of the person, you know, to reduce it or makes the person look bad in the presence or in the mind of people who have read such publication. So I'm trying to explain it in the most literal form. So when falsehood, like injurious falsehood that is calculated to ridicule, you must understand this key was ridicule, disparage the reputation of another person. So it's targeted at the reputation of someone. So what constitutes libel? To constitute libel, it's essential that the imputation should be in direct or positive terms. What it means is that it has to be direct to the person, and the words used has to be with positive terms. If the words published could be understood by an ordinary person, so the words used doesn't need special intelligence to understand it, or the words they were published, can an ordinary person who is just intelligent, an ordinary intelligent person understand the message that's being conveyed? So those injurious publication has to be understood by an ordinary person who is just intelligent to be able to understand the imputation of irresponsibility and maybe dubiousness, criminal intent that is being projected by the person who is writing those falsehoods. So you have to understand that the publication must be understood by an ordinary person. So I don't need to be a medical doctor to understand what was written. So I don't need to be well educated. For the fact I can understand that, this thing I've read is damaging the reputation of another person, that I can term that to be what? Libel. I must note that it has to be made in direct and positive terms. I want to use this opportunity to thank my subscribers, those watching, those who watch later, those who have subscribed, those who subscribe later. I thank you. You're one of the reasons why we are here. Thank you for encouraging us. Thank you for my audience. I appreciate it. So Lawyers Info Hub is a platform where we share legal tips to help you, you know, increase your understanding of law, legal terms. Are you a law student? We help you to understand or to put into practical way what you have been taught in school or what are yet to be taught. Are you a lawyer? We try to help you in the most simple terms, embrace legal terms as in the simplest form to aid your practice. So determination of whether the words that were published are capable of defamation or whether they are defamatory. So when to consider whether the words that were used are defamatory, you have to understand one, you have to look at the nature of the claim and the language used. The claim is where someone says Messi is a criminal, for example. Look at the nature of the claim. What is that person claiming that that person is doing or that person is? So the nature of the claim is important. The language that is used is also important. It has to be looked at in whole, considering whether a reasonable person can come to the conclusion that the words used, is intended to impute on someone what that person is not. So the words complained of must be firstly what published. Was it published? That's very important in libel. You know, we have slander, we have libel. So we talk to libel is about publication, not about I just said it. Someone said it in a phone conversation. Was it published? Where someone comes to his or her page on social media and write a lot of things about you that is not true. It's been published. A lot of millions of people have seen it. So, in determining the words used, you have to look at the nature of the claim of what the person is said to be have done or who the person is. The language used is also very what important. So we can check the case of UBA against Davis. It's a 2011 Nigeria Weekly Law Report, part 1259 at page 591. Now, the effect of that publication on that person is also very crucial. The court looks at now what effect did it have on the person against whom it is published against. Now, there are defenses in libel. So when a defense or there's something we call the qualified privilege, when will it avail you in libel actions? So for the defense of qualified privilege to avail you in libel, two conditions must exist and they must coexist. That means these two conditions must coexist side by side. The first one is that there must be a common interest between the maker of the statement and the person to whom it was addressed to. So there is what we call the reciprocity of interest. Is an essential element in the law of qualified privilege. So if qualified privilege is the defense someone is bringing to say, this my defense is qualified privilege, then there must be a common interest between the maker of the statement and the person to whom it was made. That's what we call the reciprocity of interest. The second condition that must coexist the fact that are relied by the maker must be true. So if what someone is saying is true, then the person can rely on qualified privilege as a defense in a libel suit. So the facts that the person is relying is true. If the mere belief will not sustain the defense. So if you say, I just believe that what I'm saying is true, it's not a defense. You must know, not just believe that what I'm saying is true. And the fact that there is a common interest between the maker and the person to whom it is targeted to. So if you want to rely on qualified privilege as a defense, these two conditions must coexist, not just one, the two of them. We can also check out the case of Ilobache and Ilobache. It's a very good case on libel. It's a 2005 13 Nigerian Weekly Law Report, part 943 at 695. Ilobache and Ilobache is a very good case you read to understand issues of qualified privilege and when you can use it as a defense. Now, when someone comes up with a defense that the publication was made on a privileged occasion, so in determining whether a publication was communicated on a privileged occasion, there are things the court must consider. There are critical factors, which is one, what we call the duty test. We have the interest test and the circumstantial test. So these are the three critical factors that the court looks at in when you come up with the defense of the publication was made on a privileged occasion. In analyzing the duty test, the court considers whether the publisher was under a legal, moral, or social duty to the person or persons to whom the material was published is very important. So go read up this case of UBA and Davis. You understand libel, the defenses. Is the 2011 Nigeria Weekly Law Report, part 1259, page 591. Very key. So the court looks at these three tests: the duty test, the interest test, and the circumstantial test. Now, in determining the publication that was made on a privileged occasion, the recipient of that libelous publication must have an interest in receiving it. It's an important aspect of the defense of qualified privilege. The nature, the source of the material, and the circumstances of the publication must be such that the publication is made to protect public interest, where the person made that publication to protect public interest, not act of malice, not act of express malice against that person. This person made this publication to protect public interest. So can come under a publication that was made on a privileged occasion, because what the person made this publication was just to protect public interest, not I don't have malice against you. It was not projected or it was not published out of malice. Now, let's look at the duty of a defendant to establish defense of what qualified privilege and when it will avail. So, in a libel case, the person who is a defendant must be able to establish this defense of qualified privilege for it to avail him. The mere fact that an occasion is privileged does not make every publication, made in it a privileged one. We've talked about a publication made in a privileged occasion. So not all publications made in privileged occasions can avail a defendant. So if, for example, the person uses the occasion to now disparage someone that is not for public interest, it just that this person is just talking out of sheer malice, then it cannot come on that defense. It will not avail you. Now, in awarding damages in libel cases, the ground for award of damages in libel is not limited to any specific pecuniary loss suffered, but it extends to damages resulting from an unjustifiable attack on the reputation of the plaintiff and inures directly from such imputation. So it's not limited to specific loss suffered, but it extends to damages resulting from unjustifiable attack. Because of this publication, people now attack him everywhere he goes. People, a lot of, even on social media, what we call the cyber bullying, where people begin to attack somebody, come to their comment section and begin to attack them because of what they saw somewhere. These are the dangers. So when in awarding damages, it is not limited to a specific pecuniary loss, but goes beyond that to even the unjustifiable attacks on the reputation of the plaintiff. So will the plaintiff need to prove actual damage? A plaintiff in an action for libel need not allege or prove that he has suffered damages. If he has been libeled without lawful justification or excuses, the law presumes that the publication of that libel, by its nature, has the intended tendency to injure the plaintiff. So he doesn't need to even come and claim millions of naira. The fact that you have been libel, the law presumes that by the nature of that libel, it is intended to injure the plaintiff, and therefore you are entitled to what? Damages. So also sometimes the court there are also principles of award of damages in libel cases. Court looks at actual pecuniary loss, peradventure because of what has happened, your reputation has been damaged, you can no longer do business, people don't want to associate themselves with you. Actual pecuniary loss can be one of the principles. Anticipated pecuniary loss, you're not saying because of what has happened, I will no longer be able to do business, because once you put up my name on social media, on the Google search engine, this is what's going to come out. So even anticipated pecuniary loss is one of the principles that the court also look at in granting damage. Social disadvantage with results. You see what a lot of people that have been maligned on the social media space, people just want to distance themselves from there. So the social disadvantage, not being able to relate socially with others, is also a principle. You have the natural injury to the principle, the plaintiff's feelings. When there is a damage to your feelings, social standing of the plaintiff, who may no longer be able to command influence as they used to because of what people have published against them. So these are the things the court looks at. The court also looks at the rate of inflation, which has affected the currency of our nation. So the court also put all those things into consideration in awarding damages in libel cases. I just hope you've learned something today. We've talked about what libel is all about. We talked about the constituents, what constitutes of libel. We looked at the various defenses that people can come under as a defendant, the privileged defense, or issue of a publication in a privileged occasion, when it can avail you, when it cannot avail you, if the publication was made for national interest, public interest, with no express malice, it's avail the defendant who's putting up the defense. Also looked at how the court can assess damages in terms of pecuniary loss, anticipatory loss. We also looked at the principle the court will look at in awarding damages. We also looked at the three keys, the three factors test the court considers under privileged occasion. We looked at the duty test, we looked at the interest test, and the circumstantial test. So I just hope you'll be able to learn one or two things, with respect to libel, and you can even close your eyes and explain to someone else about libel, what you've learned. Our duty is just to simplify it in the most simplified way, in the most easiest way for you to understand, comprehend it. We believe that we are contributing our best, our little, to the growth of legal education in Nigeria and Africa. Thank you, my subscriber. Thank you for you who want to subscribe later. Please share this video to your friends, your colleagues, your mentees, your mentors, to friends, colleagues, you know, and to even law students, and I know that as you do so, you'll be blessed. We have other videos. We have over 300 videos on this platform on law issues. Check them. You'll be smiling all through as you go through them, because they are mind-blowing, they are very effective, they are very educative. So I enjoin you, go to the channel, take your time, go to the channel, drop your questions where necessary. We're going to respond to them. Thank you, and do stay safe. I know that you can always be the best. The sky can be your starting point. So take care.